Come on in,
Good
come on
morning.
in. Morning. Morning. Hi. Morning. Come on, have a seat. Come on in. Morning. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Welcome to day one. We believe that education should be enjoyable for both students and teachers, and that every student and teacher matters. We have many new teachers with us this year, and how lucky are you? Our school is acclaimed as a great school, not only by reputation, but because of you, our outstanding teachers. We choose our teachers carefully. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the new school year.
It doesn't help as a teacher if you don't share things with the class.
Sir?
Because when the kids get to know you better, they like you better.
Sir?
They respect you more, and it makes you a better teacher. So when you withhold things, you don't get to have that good relationship with them. We talk a lot about bullying in education these days, and I think teachers can be bullied by the kids, the students, and feel threatened by them. But teachers don't like to admit it because it makes you seem weak.
Sir?
Or like you're not a good teacher, or you're not competent, or you'd be on top of everything. You wouldn't be worried.
Sir?
Why should you feel scared of the kid? But you do. I'm happy to be visibly trans. I'm glad I've been able to do that as a teacher. But it's been extremely difficult. I don't want it to be this hard for other teachers, for younger teachers. I don't think they could take it, or should have to take it.
Sir?
It's taken me many years, and I've developed a very thick skin. You need that. You need a thick skin because the stats are not good for trans and gender variant people's survival. And teaching is a more conservative profession than most, so the stats are even worse.
Sir?
Much worse. Oh, I'm surviving. I'm thriving. I am. But had to develop a very thick skin.
I've always had really short hair, really quite short hair.
Do you have a boyfriend, miss?
It's really hard for me to hide my sexuality, see.
Why do you have short hair?
Well, it's funny, like,
Miss?
when I knew I was going to become a teacher, 12 months before I started my dip ed, I started growing my hair longer so I could fly under the radar and not have to
Miss, what's your boyfriend's name?
deal with homophobia and try to get a job at the same time, so my hair was pretty short. I grew it long, sort of to about there-ish, but I was just so queer.
Miss?
Blind Freddie would have...
Miss, do you have kids? How old are you, miss? Do you have a partner? Do you have a boyfriend?
And the very first week at work, a student says...
Miss, why do you have short hair?
And I said, why do you have short hair? They're trying to work out the social codes.
Miss, do you have kids?
Trying to work out what means what and how it relates to them. Still, it doesn't stop them from going too far. The latest form of harassment has been the Year 7 saying to me openly in class...
How old are you, miss? Do you have kids, miss? Do you have a partner? Do you have a boyfriend?
That's the constant. Just last week, a girl constantly saying...
Do you have a boyfriend, miss? What's your boyfriend's name?
I just ignored it. Tried to redirect, tried to move on, and she just kept...
Do you have a boyfriend? What's your boyfriend's name? Do you have a boyfriend? What's your boyfriend's name?
In the end, I said, Emily, You will have to stop, because that is sexual harassment. And she did.
Ah. You look just like Ellen, miss. She has short hair, just like you. Do you know Ellen, miss?
What factors do you think influence your experience as a queer teacher?
I think it comes down to location, demographics, what kids are exposed to. Those things influence your experience as a teacher. I was teaching Govan Hill, for example, in what is certainly not an affluent school, but they're exposed to a lot of things. A lot more than kids in the country, maybe. See, to those kids, gayness is just not an issue. I'm not saying they're all pro-gay rights, not at all, but they can articulate what they think and what they feel, can see both sides much better because of location, demographics, what they're exposed to. It's taken me a long time. 15 plus years to come to terms with my own sexuality. It's great to now feel so comfortable within myself and with myself at school. But I'd still say you're never 100% present. As a gay teacher, I'm never 100% present in the room, the way others are able to be. Never 100% there. As a teacher, as a person, as a gay man. Never 100% there.
I wear lots of skirts, dresses, femme stuff. I do that very consciously. And I ask my students, when there's an opportunity,
Miss, do you have a boyfriend?
a teachable moment, how can you tell if someone is gay? And the kids will go,
Well, by the way they look.
I'm like, okay, so I must be.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I incorporate that. And I use that gender stereotype, that femme stereotype, to challenge the gay storyline. So I wear skirts, dresses, a very conscious thing. I think it makes me a little bit less intimidating to the kids. I'm being stereotypical, of course, but another teacher, she dealt with a lot of homophobia because, well, she looked really butch. She looked really butch. So, I mean, schools are such gendered places. The school uniform alone is so gendered. Presenting anything outside that, whether you're a student or a teacher, you just attract that attention, and it's often negative.
So?
So, to be honest, I kind of wish I had the guts to be a bit more butch. Really butch. But I feel like it would almost be counterproductive, to be honest.
I used to be Mr. Buck.
When I started teaching, I was a heterosexual male married to a woman, to my wife, Jennifer. Eventually, along the way, I came out as female, began living as a woman at home and at work. I was still married to Jennifer, and we appeared to be lesbians. It was a long, slow process, my transition. For a while, I didn't like to identify as anything. Anything. I didn't have the words for it. It's hard in a school to not have words for what you are. It's hard in a relationship too. It was a difficult time. Before that, before my transition, I had an opportunity, a good opportunity, to come out in a class once. And I didn't do it. I couldn't do it. The student who was talking must have been lesbian, I suppose, must have been. There were 19, 20 kids in the room, and we were all sitting around just talking, and she said,
You know, the statistics say that 2 in every 20 people are gay. And there's 20 people in this room.
and she just looked at me, and I was like, yes, that's right. And she was like,
I wonder who they are.
and she just stared at me. And I stared at her. But I couldn't do it. I just couldn't do it. I had gotten so used to dodging all the questions that I was annoyed with myself, thinking, why didn't I just...
Say it.
I don't think she was being mean. I think she was trying to make a connection, actually. Telling me that she saw me. Maybe she was trying to help me, you know? Thinking,
Why don't you just come out?
and so she asked. She asked and she waited. But I didn't do it. I just couldn't do it. I just couldn't do it.
Hi.
Hi.
Ben?
Yes, Edgar, correct.
Yeah.
Hello. Nice
It's
to meet
very
you.
nice to meet you. And thank you so much for making this space for the interview.
Oh,
I really appreciate it.
It's my pleasure. Please take a seat.
Okay. It's a lovely classroom.
Oh, thank you very much. Yes, I like to think so.
Yeah, and just let me set the video recorder so we can start.
Yes,
the
absolutely.
interview.
So,
I think that should be working.
okay. It is okay? Excellent. Thank you. First of all, I want to note, for the record, please, I want to note that as a gay teacher, I knew I would be judged before I even started. As a gay teacher, you have to be very intentional. That starts with choosing where you will work, if you have that luxury, because sometimes you just need a job. So I chose my school carefully. I'm not aware of any policies that protect queer teachers, but at my school, it's just not an issue. Diversity here is just normal, you know? That might sound weird, like diversity is normal, but yeah, there's a general acceptance of diversity. One thing is that we embrace everybody, and that we embrace difference, and that we embrace creativity. So creative children who in other mainstream schools might be singled out as being different. In this school, we're all just normal. Everything's accepted. This is why I chose my school carefully. Now, the underlying policy in my classroom is respect. And that's respect in all its forms. Kids respecting each other, and me respecting them, and them respecting me. And part of that is my belief that it's okay to be gay. And to communicate that to the kids effectively, you have to be okay with it yourself. You have to be okay with yourself. You can't say it's okay to be different, but then you hide this aspect of yourself. I was wearing a pink jumper, and one of the kids asked me, "Why are you wearing pink?" And I said, "I really like the colour pink." And some of the boys were like,
I like pink.
They were willing to say it.
I like pink.
Because I'm willing to say it. I like pink too. They were willing to think they don't have to be boys. They can be whoever they want to be. So if they want to play house, or they want to play cooking, or wear pink, I encourage it. This is why I chose my school carefully. I would love for every school to be like my school. It would be fantastic for all children to be able to experience that kind of diversity, that kind of education. If every school was my school, it would be great. Anything else? Or? Great, thank you.
So, there was an incident where I think a girl was flirting with me in class.
Listen, how I have survived, how I've made myself at home in my school is by focusing on the students, but also the wider community.
She was a year 10 student, so probably 15 or 16 years old. And she'd come up and sit at my desk and ask me personal questions. And she would do things.
What I would say to you is this: choose your school carefully. Pay attention to the location, the demographics of your school. Now, my school is a primary school. It's a rainbow school. Everything is integrated. It's all interconnected.
She grabbed my pencil case once. She grabbed it, and I said, "Give it back." And she was all like, "No." Like she sort of wanted me to chase her. She was just too interested in playing games with me all the time.
That's such a secondary school issue. I was speaking to one of my year 2 kids the other day. I said, "Oh, hi, Ant." I said, "Could you tell your mum thanks for tuning all those ukuleles in the classroom?" And Ant's little friend goes, "He's got 2 mums. which mum tuned the ukuleles. So it's like that. Integrated, interconnected.
And I thought, she's queer. And maybe she knows that I'm queer. And I felt like she was crossing over boundaries. And I didn't want her to.
I don't think my experience is the norm. I don't believe I would experience this in other schools. Maybe I've just been lucky.
I wasn't sure what to do about it. Because she hadn't done anything. Anything I could tell somebody to make them believe me. And they might think that I'm thinking of her in a sexual way. If I said something. Said anything. So I just let it go.
But what did you do?
I waited for the school year to be over. And I just let it go. I didn't say anything.
I guess I've just been lucky.
A few years later, I was at the Pride March, sitting with some friends, and somebody came up and poked me in the back, and I turned around, and
Hey, miss.
And it was her. It was that girl, that kid, who was now probably 20 or something.
Do you remember me, miss?
And I was right. She was queer. She was out and at the Pride March. And she was queer. She asked if she could sit with our group. And I didn't want her to, but one of my friends said yeah. And I said no. And another friend said she should come and join the football club I was playing for. And I was like, shut up. But she did. She came along to football, and I just refused to talk to her. I can't remember if I had a girlfriend at the time, but I just wasn't interested in her. Eventually she stopped coming. I'm not sure what she's doing now. But that's not the kind of connection I want to make. Hanging out at Pride, playing on the same football team, not with a student, even an ex-student, no way. So it's hard to tell anyone when this sort of thing happens in the classroom. Flirting, crossing boundaries. It's hard to make it sound like something, anything, something you should be reporting. If you were to say, I think that girl's got a crush on me and I'm feeling uncomfortable in a professional teaching situation, and if the parents were to find out that you'd said anything about their kid, I'm sure the blame would be put onto the teacher somehow.
Why are you talking about my child that way? The school should get rid of teachers like you.
They always
blame the teacher.
Always.
Being in the closet about both my sexuality and my gender made me not enjoy teaching. I didn't feel close to my colleagues or my students. Sometimes I felt like they were just pitying me because they didn't think that I had much of a life. Because I never talked about my personal life. And they never asked. I thought they must just think, oh, she lives alone. Oh, she lives alone. Not that there's anything wrong with being single, but when people don't talk to you about your personal life, don't ask, then you think that they've just written you off as some kind of crazy cat lady. You want people to know that you've got a good life, that you're happy, that you've got a partner, a home, things like that. So yeah, if you can't share a bit of yourself, share your life a little, then what kind of a person are you? What kind of a person are you?
I went to the school musical with my partner, and we were in line, and I heard,
Hi, miss.
I turned around, and it was a girl I didn't know, and she smiled and said hello. I was a bit skeptical. You know, why are you saying hello to me?
Hi, miss. Do you have a boyfriend, miss?
And then my partner said, I think she just took a photo of us. And so I turned around again.
Hi, miss.
And she smiled again, and it was all a bit secretive, you know, hard to know what had happened. The next day, a Year 7 came up to me and showed me a Facebook post of that photo of us with the statement, Miss Mason actually is a les.
Hi, miss.
And that went viral by the end of the day. Straight teachers don't realize how out they are about their sexuality. Every time they talk about their spouse, it's just part of, well, they don't even question it. Whereas if you're like me, you're constantly thinking about the words you're choosing. It's exhausting. So one of the first questions I always ask on a school job interview is to have a look at the staff handbook to see if homophobia is covered. And I'm always disappointed. In my first job, I asked the welfare officer, is homophobia covered, knowing it wasn't there in the staff handbook. And she said, oh yeah, well you just assume that it's covered, even though it's not really covered. And there were constant little things in class, microaggressions. My way of dealing with it was everything they said.
Miss?
Everything they said, I would write down.
Miss, this guy looks like you, miss.
I would write it down and recite back to the student at the end of the class.
Miss?
And say, do you realize I've quoted everything you've said to me and I will be passing this on to your parents?
Whatever.
However, and this is interesting, the parents did not want to hear it. They were so in denial, complete denial. Same with my principal. In the end, I stopped writing down what they said. I stopped passing it on. But it felt good to threaten them.
Hey, miss?
Even for a little while.
Do you have a boyfriend, miss?
I've experienced harassment pretty much my whole career. And it's ranged in terms of intensity. On some occasions, I would hear snide comments like,
He bats for the other team.
right through to the really, in your face.
You fucking faggot.
That sort of thing. I wouldn't go shopping after school hours because I would have kids come up to me in the supermarket.
He bats for the other team.
Kids I didn't even teach.
You fucking faggot.
And it was really unnerving. That's what made me think I didn't want to teach anymore. After 25 years teaching. That's what led to me taking a year off on stress leave. And also moving back to the city. You see, when I was teaching out there in the country, I was sort of, I was outed by a student. Because I lived next door to one of my students.
Hey, look, it's that fucking faggot.
He outed me. Spread amongst the other boys like wildfire. Spread into my private environment, my home life. There were several ugly incidents on my property. Teenage boys on motorbikes gunning around outside my home.
You fucking faggot.
Destroying property, damaging trees, breaking fences.
You fucking faggot.
The line the school used was, if it's not happening on school property, it's not a school matter. So I contacted the police. But they just suggested I contact the kids' parents, which I did. The parents were livid. Fell back on the whole...
They're minors. Just kids. How dare you?
Like it was my fault?
How dare!
Like it was down to me?
You!
They blamed me.
Fucking faggot!
So yeah. I took some time off.
So, it's sort of, I don't know. I started teaching here as a lesbian, as an out lesbian, and they were pretty supportive about that. I stayed that way for a few years, sort of testing the waters, and then in my 4th year, I came out and started to transition. I started taking tea over the break, and I knew that would lead to some pretty visible, pretty rapid changes. The school was sort of less supportive then. There were issues with which toilets I could use, that kind of thing. I came out as male in a staff meeting, and some of the older teachers stood up and walked out. They were just over it. Queer fatigue. So, yeah. But I kept going. I felt I had to do this. And the job shouldn't get in the way of that. The kids were fine, totally flexible. Some respectful questions, but that's about it. The staff, not so much. I had this one odd conversation with one of my assistant directors, David, Mr. Hall. It was after an assembly. I do the sound system, and he noticed that I had some facial hair growing.
Oh. What's that? Is that a bit of hair?
Some facial hair, and was just sort of gently mocking.
What is it? There's something on your face. Oh, it's a bit of hair.
And he was asking.
So, how are the kids handling it? Yeah.
And I said, yeah, fine. They call me sir now for the most part.
Oh, they call you sir. Well, that's fantastic.
And it's just like... It's just this idea that if people recognise my male identity, they're doing me this big favour. It's just like the school is just doing me this huge...
Oh, they call you sir. That's fantastic.
I must admit, I've thought about leaving my place of work, finding another school. Part of me doesn't want to do that until I can fully pass and be confident in passing, like close to 100% of the time, because it would be easier.
Oh, bit of hair. Fancy that.
But to just be read as male, what is that? What is that? I will always be the trans teacher here, and that has pros and cons in terms of what I think I can do for the kids. But to just be read as male, I would be so weird. Just to be another white male teacher in a secondary school. So yeah, they call me sir.
Oh, look at that. Just for once, we seem to have finished ahead of schedule. So if no one has anything else to add, I think we'll wrap this up.
Yep, whenever you're ready.
Well done, Ernest. And well done on the hair there.
Yes, sir. That's my hair. It's my facial hair. My man hair. And everyone seems to be waiting to hear what else you have to say. So whenever you're ready. All right. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the end of the school year. Congratulations on making it. We've had a banner year because of you, because of us, our outstanding teachers. Thank you for choosing our school. Happy holidays, everyone.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays, young man.
Happy holidays, sir.